Do you think you've got that from your father?
I think that's probably true, because I think if anything broke, there was always a memory.
Deep within the royal archives, behind locked doors that few have ever entered, lay a letter that should never have been written. A confession so raw, so vulnerable, that when it was finally discovered just months ago, it sent shockwaves through the very foundations of the British monarchy. Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, the woman we thought we knew completely after 7 decades on the throne, had penned words that revealed her deepest, most private doubts. Words that questioned everything we believe about her unwavering dedication to duty. This is not just another royal story. This is the moment we discovered that even the strongest among us wrestle with impossible choices in the darkest hours of night. What drove our beloved queen to write these forbidden thoughts? And why did she hide them for nearly 2 decades? The calm before the storm. The year was 2005. To the outside world, Queen Elizabeth II appeared as steadfast as ever. The Golden Jubilee celebrations were still fresh in memory. The nation had rallied around their monarch in a spectacular display of affection and loyalty. But behind the palace walls, a different story was unfolding. Charles and Camilla's upcoming marriage had created constitutional complexities that weighed heavily on the Queen's mind. The wounds from Diana's death 8 years earlier were still tender, and public opinion remained divided. The monarchy's approval ratings fluctuated like a ship in troubled waters. It was during these quiet, contemplative months that Her Majesty began what royal historians now call her evening reflections, private moments when she would retreat to her sitting room at Windsor Castle, away from the constant demands of duty and protocol. None of us could have imagined what thoughts consumed her during those solitary hours. The woman who had dedicated her entire adult life to service was questioning whether that service might be causing more harm than good. The stage was set for a crisis of conscience that would shake her to her very core. A history written in secrets. The British royal family has always been a masterclass in discretion. For centuries, monarchs have kept their private thoughts locked away, understanding that the crown requires an almost superhuman level of composure. Queen Victoria's personal diaries revealed her human struggles only after death. King George VI Stammer was carefully hidden from public view during his reign. Even Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, took her deepest secrets to her grave. But Elizabeth II was different. Perhaps it was her analytical mind, honed by decades of political experience. Perhaps it was a way to being the longest-serving monarch in British history. Or perhaps it was simply the burden of carrying the crown to the most tumultuous period in modern royal history. Whatever the reason, she began documenting her thoughts in a way no British monarch had ever dared before. The letter, discovered during routine archival work following her passing, was tucked away in a private folder marked simply personal reflections, not for official record. Written in her distinctive handwriting, it bore no official letterhead, no royal seal, just the raw, unfiltered thoughts of a woman grappling with an impossible decision. Royal archivists initially thought it might be a draft speech or personal notes. They never expected to find a confession that would rewrite our understanding of her reign's most challenging period. Whispers inside the palace. The few palace insiders who knew about the Queen's evening writing sessions described them as sacred moments. Her personal secretary would ensure absolute privacy. No interruptions. No phone calls. Just Her Majesty, a simple writing pad, and her thoughts. Staff members noticed subtle changes during this period. The Queen seemed more contemplative, more measured in her responses. She would spend longer periods gazing out of windows, as if searching for answers in the landscape she loved so dearly. One longtime royal aide, speaking anonymously years later, recalled, "There was a heaviness about her during those months. Not sadness, exactly, but the weight of someone carrying an enormous burden alone. The pressures were mounting from every direction." Constitutional scholars debated the monarchy's future role. Political changes across the Commonwealth raised questions about the crown's relevance. Even within her own family, tensions simmered beneath the surface of public unity. But perhaps most challenging of all was a growing realization that her son Charles, her heir and successor, face a path fraught with unprecedented complications. It was during one particularly difficult evening in late autumn 2005 that she picked up her pen and began writing the words that would later astound historians. I find myself questioning, for the first time in my life, whether I have led my family and my nation down a path that serves no one well. The breaking point. What could drive a woman who had never publicly wavered in her commitment to duty to such a moment of doubt? The answer lay in a convergence of personal and public crises that created what royal historians now recognize as her perfect storm of 2005. Charles and Camilla's relationship, while personally healing for both of them, presented constitutional challenges that kept the Queen awake at night. The Church of England's position, public opinion polls, and the complex legal questions surrounding a divorced heir marrying another divorced person created a maze of problems with no clear solutions. But it went deeper than protocol and public relations. The Queen had watched her son struggle with duty versus personal happiness for decades. She had witnessed Diana's pain, Charles's anguish, and the collateral damage to her grandchildren. Now, as she contemplated giving her blessing to Charles and Camilla's union, she faced a haunting question. Had the institution she served so faithfully become a prison for those she loved most? The breaking point came during a private family dinner in November 2005. Sources close to the family describe a moment when Prince William, then just 23, made an offhand comment about the weight of expectation that awaited his generation. The Queen, according to witnesses, fell silent for several long moments before excusing herself from the table. That night, she wrote the most revealing passages of her secret letter. The letter that shocked everyone. The letter, now safely preserved in the royal archives, contains passages that no royal expert ever imagined existed. Written over several weeks in late 2005, it reveals a side of Queen Elizabeth II that was completely hidden from the world. Her handwriting, usually so controlled and precise, shows signs of emotional strain in certain passages. Some words are underlined heavily. Others are crossed out and rewritten, as if she struggled to find the right way to express thoughts she had never before articulated. The most stunning revelation comes in a passage dated December 3rd, 2005. I have given my entire life to this institution, believing it served a greater good. But when I look at the cost to my children, to my grandchildren, I wonder if I have been complicit in perpetuating something that brings more suffering than service. She goes on to detail her sleepless nights, her prayers for guidance, and her growing conviction that the monarchy might need to evolve in ways she had never previously considered. But perhaps most shocking of all was her confession about abdication. I have always believed that one serves until death, she wrote. But what if one's service is no longer truly serving? What if stepping aside might free the next generation to find a better way? The letter reveals that she seriously considered abdication during this period, not out of weariness or age, but out of love for her family and concern for the institution's future. Royal constitutional experts who have studied the letter describe it as unprecedented in its honesty and a window into the human cost of absolute duty. The ripple effect across the royal family. While the Queen wrestled with these private doubts, she maintained her public composure with characteristic grace. But those closest to her began to notice subtle signs of her internal struggle. Prince Philip, her constant companion and confidant, seemed more protective during public appearances. Staff members observed more private conversations between the royal couple, often continuing late into the evening. The letter reveals that she did confide in Philip about her doubts. His response, according to her notes, was both supportive and challenging. You've never run from difficulty before, Lilibet. Don't start now. But if you truly believe change is needed, then lead that change. Charles, unaware of his mother's written confessions, continued preparing for his own marriage while grappling with his evolving role as heir. The Queen's letter mentions several conversations with him during this period, describing his mixture of excitement and apprehension about his future responsibilities. Most poignantly, she writes about her grandchildren. William and Harry carry themselves with such dignity, but I see the questions in their eyes. They wonder at the path laid out for them is one they truly want to walk. How can I answer when I'm no longer certain myself? The ripple effects extended beyond the immediate family. Senior courtiers noticed changes in palace protocols. Meetings that had once been routine now involved deeper discussions about the monarchy's direction and relevance. It was during this period that several key modernization initiatives began taking shape. Changes that seemed minor at the time, but now appear to have been influenced by the Queen's private reflections on the crown's future. What this means for the future of the monarchy. The discovery of Queen Elizabeth II's secret doubts has profound implications for how we understand both her reign and the monarchy's current trajectory. Far from diminishing her legacy, these revelations show a monarch grappling with the same questions that many Britons have asked about the royal family's role in modern society. Her willingness to question established practices, even privately, demonstrates a depth of thoughtfulness that royal historians are only now beginning to appreciate. The letter's influence can be traced through many of the modernizing changes that occurred during her later reign. The streamlined coronation preparations for Charles, the emphasis on environmental causes, the more open approach to mental health discussions, all seem to reflect the deeper thinking revealed in her private writings. King Charles III's reign, viewed through the lens of his mother's confessions, takes on new significance. Many of his initiatives appear to address the very concerns she expressed in her letter about the monarchy's relevance and humanity. Prince William's approach to royal duties, with its emphasis on modern relevance and personal authenticity, seems to embody the better way his grandmother hoped the next generation might find. The constitutional implications are equally fascinating. Royal scholars debate whether her private considerations of abdication influenced the Commonwealth realm's evolving relationships with the crown, or the ongoing discussions about the monarchy's future role. But perhaps most importantly, the letter humanizes an institution that often seemed impossibly remote. It shows us a queen who loved her family more than her crown, who valued truth over tradition, and who was willing to question everything she had been taught if it meant protecting those she held dear. A legacy forever changed. As we reflect on Queen Elizabeth II's remarkable 70-year reign, this newly discovered letter adds a layer of complexity and humanity that makes her legacy even more extraordinary. She chose not to abdicate. She chose not to fundamentally alter the monarchy during her lifetime. Instead, she chose to carry her doubts privately while continuing to serve with unwavering public dedication. But her private writings became a roadmap for the changes we see unfolding today. Every modernization, every step toward greater openness and relevance, can be traced back to the questions she wrestled with during those difficult months in 2005. The woman who seemed to embody certainty and tradition was actually engaged in the deepest kind of soul-searching about the institution she led. Her conclusion: that duty sometimes means asking difficult questions, not just providing easy answers, may be her most important lesson for future generations. The letter's final passages reveal her ultimate decision. I cannot change the past, but I can ensure that those who come after me have the freedom to forge a different path. My duty is not to preserve things exactly as they are, but to hand over an institution capable of growth, change, and continued service. Those words, written in private nearly 2 decades ago, now seem prophetic as we watch King Charles III and Prince William navigate the challenges of modern monarchy with greater flexibility and openness than ever before. Her Majesty's secret doubts didn't weaken the crown. They strengthened it by forcing essential questions about purpose, relevance, and humanity that continue to guide the royal family today. In the end, perhaps her greatest act of service was not her public devotion to duty, but her private willingness to question that duty in service of something even greater: the well-being of her family and the future of the institution she loved. The queen we thought we knew was remarkable. The queen revealed by this letter, vulnerable, questioning, evolving, is truly extraordinary. This discovery changes everything we thought we knew about Queen Elizabeth II's later reign. What surprised you most about these revelations? Do you think her private doubts made her a stronger or weaker monarch? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We read every single one and love hearing your perspectives on these fascinating royal stories. And if you're as captivated by these hidden chapters of royal history as we are, make sure to subscribe and ring that notification bell. We're constantly uncovering new stories, secret documents, and behind-the-scenes moments that reveal the human side of the monarchy. Because sometimes, the most powerful stories are the ones that were never meant to be told.